Welcome back to the channel, everybody. And it looks like earthquakes are taking place within the legacy financial system. As we knew, it was propped up. There's problems all around, especially with commercial real estate. And guess what this has to do with? Commercial real estate. This is the time, before we jump into this article, I'll say this. This is the time where people really need to keep their eyes open. It's not just about profiting from these things, because yes, if financial institutions go down, whether they're NBFIs or they're banks, right now we're about to talk about a few banks. Yes, gold does have the propensity to skyrocket when those things happen, and they're widely publicized, that is. Yes, crypto can skyrocket, but more than that, for bank coins, it benefits in the long run because of the collapse of the system. It's not necessarily about an immediate spike in price, right? And then, of course, there is the Bitcoin angle, and we'll see how that is. I mean, because there is gold. But more than that, I would say people should be careful, because when things like this happen, there can be bank runs. That's number one. Bank runs, they freeze accounts, things like that. I mean, so I would ask questions about institutions that may be doing practices like this. We'll jump into it in a moment. Let me just get this off. I would also keep my researcher mind searching weekly for information, because they're about to put the system under investigation. They have to. Now they know the problem is real. Like I've been saying, there's a myriad of different holes poked into the legacy system. But now they're like, everyone has to take notice. Like, okay, yeah, this is real. This is serious now. Let's begin right here, folks. And if you like this type of content, take those powerful hands of yours and hit that like button. It's almost a bank coin's time, and this is one reason why. It begins here. 2 regional financial institutions. By the way, this is not the only thing that's going on. This is just what we're going to touch on here, okay? One thing at a time. I know the other stuff that's going on. Don't worry, I know. 2 regional financial institutions, California Bank and Trust and Western Alliance, disclosed their involvement in what appears to be a substantial loan fraud case, raising fresh concerns about credit quality and risk management practices within regional banking, the regional banking sector. Now, this is just 2 institutions. All right, so they did these particular things, but why? Always have to ask the questions. Why? Why would that all of a sudden just place a microscope on all of regional banking? How did they phrase it here? Pay close attention to that, right? They're telling you stuff without telling you, right? What do they call it? Like a Freudian slip. They're letting things slip out. It says raising fresh concerns about credit quality and risk management practice within the regional banking sector. Not just these banks, but the regional banking sector. Really? What are you not telling us? Why would all the banks need to be under scrutiny? Because the dilapidated state that they're in. I mean, not you, but I mean like the regulators, right? The ones who are supposed to be keeping an eye on this, but they weren't. The ones who have allowed the system to be propped up with illusory liquidity. And so this has, I'm not justifying what these banks have done. I'm not whatsoever. They're absolutely wrong. But because they're suffering, people do desperate things when they're in a precarious position, is what I'm saying. You get what I'm saying? That's why they did these things. They were trying to get one over with the commercial real estate, etc. Oh, we're going to write this loan here. This goes here, but it's not really going there. We're going to purchase this commercial real estate, but then they hand over the contracts to somebody else without the proper paperwork, without the proper steps gone through. It's just here, have this. They were setting up a system. Let me read a little bit more. You see where this is going? But why would that even exist? That exists because they're not flourishing. They have painted an illusion to the people. Oh, the system is so secure. The system is so safe. And yet we've seen bank after bank after bank have problems, collapse. They're downgraded in their ratings, but upgraded in the ratings that are attributed to them being problematic. We've seen an increase in those banks. Yes or no? I still have the document up right here. Oh, I believe this is Weiss Ratings. Yep, Weiss Ratings or WeissRatings.com. FCC, look it up for yourself. I put the screenshot multiple times. We went over this in a video in depth. FCC and bank regulators ignoring big risks. Let me say that again. That's the article title. This is what they do. This is that company's profession. FCC and bank regulators ignoring big risks at U.S. banks. That's not me saying it. That's a professional company saying it. Who is it that's going to go against that? I've seen people go against that narrative. It's like, what? That's a fact. We went over 3 different professional companies saying the same thing. They all have different numbers, but they're saying the same thing. Hence why they're trying to institute the new financial system before this financial system collapses or there's contagion. We're going to jump into that in a second. No, I'm going to rip the veil off of this. I got something loaded in the chamber. You see, I'm just building. Ignoring, that means they know. If these independent companies know that keep up with the banks in their state, then the governments know, the central banks know. Everybody knows, except the regular people. So that there's 2 main things that come out of that, of course. One, the regular people don't know that their capital is in jeopardy. That's number one, but let's put that to the side. I don't say that to generate any type of fear. I'm not a fear-based person. I grew up in a Stone Cold Steve Austin era where we had t-shirts that said F fear. You know, the profane word for F fear. We don't do fear, but we have to acknowledge whether people like it or not, whether people are afraid or not. We have to acknowledge the problem so we can address the problem. So let's put that to the side right there. Second thing it does, besides jeopardize people's capital that's in these banking systems, is it doesn't allow the people to profit off the downfall of the old system the way that everyone else is. Well, you and I are we're involved. I say you and I don't know what you have, but I'm just being inclusive. That's all. I know what I have. That's all I can speak on. But like you and I and the big time companies are going to do, positioning themselves right now to profit off the downfall of that system. But they don't want the regular people profiting. If that is not the case, then why isn't this more widely spoken of? Oh, Mick, but it could be because they don't want to cause fear. That's going to happen anyway. What's going to cause more fear? Them going over this, and they can, help you enter the pool, so to speak, one toe at a time, for lack of a better word. Nice and easy, ease you into it. Ease the public into this situation and help them understand. Right? They could do that. Or is it better for the public to wake up one day and it's just chaos in the financial system and they don't know why? Which one causes more fear? All right. So logic dictates that I believe what's going on is they don't want the public to profit. Right now, you see everything getting stretched. Some people are moving up and more people are moving down. There's barely any people in the middle. What do you call that? Well, let's go here. Oh, Mick, get back to the information. I'm cooking. I'm going to get you the information. If you like this type of content, take those powerful hands, hit that like button. You see one of them things that pop up on the video every once in a while, an ad. You know what to do if you like this content. Now, do what you want to do. Look at this. Let's jump into this. Let's rip this apart. Yeah, they don't want you to know. One thing leads to another. Contagion in a multitude of ways. Always remember that. See the different pieces that connect. What is this all leading to? Okay, this leads here. A leads to B, to C, to D. Most people only see A. Maybe some people see B. What am I speaking of? This is what I'm speaking of. Liquidity concerns, right? While the immediate problem of what's happening here with these banks, which is extrapolated, obviously, that you just heard from the horse's mouth, this is being extrapolated to the rest of the banking industry is about to be under investigation. They're going to be keeping a close eye because now we're getting so close to bank collapses that they must keep a closer eye. They were very fortunate with what just happened. Very fortunate. We'll get to that in a moment. While the immediate problem is one of credit quality, the loans are riskier than reported. Issues of this magnitude involving widespread fraud, unauthorized transfer of collateral, I went over that in the beginning, right? And fabricated legal documents can quickly translate into liquidity fears. Remember, I told you they've rigged the system. This is how they're doing it. Remember, I also showed, even though it was buried, remember I covered those videos last year, all the different large banks were being taken to court by whom? The SEC. Why were they in the court? Why were they in court? What did they violate, huh? I can't hear you. Oh, I heard somebody out there. Right. People better be careful. Their system's going down, new financial systems going up, an explosion in bank coin prices because it will be used on every level. That's why they're all rushing towards treasuries. They want that money, and it's getting closer and closer. Well, if it's getting closer and closer, they need to move faster and faster to get in position. Let's keep going. Issues of this magnitude involving widespread fraud. Okay, let's get past that. Can quickly, you with me? You still here? Can quickly translate into liquidity fears. Liquidity fears. But wait a minute. There's a solution to this. If you were a large financial institution and you knew, not knew, but you knew and you had the experience for years that this liquidity problem has been like a knife stabbing you in the ribs constantly for decades, and yet you knew there was a solution to that problem. Okay, well, what could be the solution to that problem if current system is not functioning well? Well, the new financial system offers XRP, which you can buy a ton of, keep on a private ledger. Nobody knows. Nobody has to know what's going on. It's private ledger. Which maybe there's a company making security even better for private ledgers. Ripple, anybody doing that recently? Remember that article? See how it's all tying together? And if you're a financial institution with a private ledger and you had a ton of XRP on there, you can liquidate that XRP anytime. You could generate with your banking buddies who are a part of your same system. Hence, they're a part of SWIFT. They're a part of the G7, all these different groups. You have your groups. They're going to continue with these groups. So you can get on the phone with them. You can get in meetings with them and say, hey, listen, let's all buy up this XRP, drive this price super high. That way we have a liquidity pool, which the regular people don't know about. They don't need to know about. Nobody needs to talk about. Yeah, hit them with two shushes. Yeah, you like it because it was cool. I liked it too. But now we generate this huge liquidity pool that we can pull from anytime. But wait. There was a reaction to this because as we're doing that, we're buying up all these treasuries by proxy because we have other companies, large companies, but they're not small, but they're large companies. And I say that because they're not widely known. Just because they're not widely known doesn't mean they're not significant. Significance is not in the amount of value that you have. It's sometimes in who you're connected to. Right? But nevertheless, there was a reaction to the buying up of XRP. All of a sudden, Ripple ran like Ricky from Boys in the Hood. Ripple ran and had to buy up a ton of XRP. No, they not only buy up a ton of XRP separate from their escrow, they had to team up to create the biggest liquidity pool. Why? Not because of value. They're sitting on a ton of value. Because of control, power. Yeah. We're cooking today. Had my day off. Yesterday came back. That was a warm up. I was warming up. I don't know what that is. It's a good dance. And now I'm cooking. That's how I feel. I only speak for myself. I feel great right now as far as what this information. Now, Ripple reacted to that. You see that? They know what's at stake. Bridge currency, liquidity. Stable. I almost can't frown when I hear the word stablecoin. It's such a joke. Increased fragmentation. XRP, the bank coins, those connector pieces. Look at the facts. I mean, you don't have to look at anything. I'm not here to convince anybody, but this is how my mind is working as I'm ripping this apart. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. Because you got off track. It wasn't me, it was you. You got off track, you're listening to music, you're doing all the stuff, you're doing jumping jacks, you're lifting weights while you're listening to me, you're at the job while you're listening to me. And that's okay. And that's okay. I'm just messing with you. Okay. Let's get back to this here because there's a lot more. So now, it can quickly translate into liquidity fears. That's why I said they were fortunate. Folks, there could have been bank runs again. So it continues. Such revelations intensify trader concerns and can cause a flight, quote unquote, flight to liquidity. I love it when they use this language of, it's like they don't want to say it. Flight to quality. Flight means the removal of something, one thing rapidly into another, from one location that is not secure into another location that is secure. That's a bank run. See, I'm just giving it to you plainly, as plainly as I can. They're playing all this linguistic gymnastics so people don't know. People coming home tired from work, they have to raise children, they got to run their business and stuff like that, or maybe just had a hard life, a hard time. They don't have time to figure out all of this wording. They know it. Don't let them play the game with you. I mean, you could let it. I mean, it's up to you. I'm just saying. I'm just speaking out loud. My thoughts, they're internal. Which is, so flight to quality, bank runs, which is the very mechanism that drives depositors and investors to pull funds from perceived vulnerable banks. You know where this leads, right? Wait a minute, vulnerable banks. There's degrees of vulnerability. Of course, this is one where the problems were actuated upon. However, when it comes to commercial real estate, which was heavily involved here, that's interesting. And now with other things occurring, and we'll get to that another time, perhaps in a members only video, we know that this credit quality issue and the fraudulent activities of the banks is widespread to the point where many powerful entities are talking about it. So now, let's condense that a little bit. Problematic banks. How many problematic banks are there that this could happen with? Let's see. Let's go back to that article that we covered a month or so ago. And how many banks were at the top of that list? I'm scrolling up. Bear with me one moment. Let's drop the hammer on them. Now, the top ranking of the worst banks in the U.S., they're 649, but that's like level A. Level B, they're only missing like 1 or 2 criteria to meet to make it to rank A, which would be thousands of banks. You can read it for yourself. Thousands of banks at risk in the U.S. Oh, I know some people are not. They're not understanding. It's not a bad thing, folks. Out with the old, in with the new. Entropy, right? Natural cycle of entropy. Things rise, things fall. There's cycles to everything. This one we profit off of wildly. XRP is in such an unbelievable position. I know people don't want to believe it. I've heard it for years now. People don't want to believe. That's on them. That's up to them. I only control myself. Thousands of banks. How long do they stay afloat? How long? Now that they're going to be someone, I guess, who they don't clarify who's going to be looking into this situation closer. They just say, well, now it brings it puts like a microscope on it, on the regional banks. By whom? The independent evaluators already showed us multiple times that these banks are both at risk and involved in some possibly shady things, allegedly. So whom? It doesn't seem that the governments are overly concerned with this. Else it would not happen. Here we go. So now pay attention to this. I want to see if they clarify. We're going back to the article now, okay? It says, however, subsequent investigation on these, this type of activity here revealed serious irregularities. Investigation by whom? Who did it? Let us know, because I want to go to that website. I want to see that data. I want to get my hands on that paperwork. However, subsequent investigation revealed serious irregularities. My word. Breathe. Irregularities. It's always a word like that. It's just stumble. Just, you can say all the other words, perspicacious and perfunctory, all these different big words. A little word, irregularity, make you stumble. Here we go. So the lender discovered that numerous promissory notes and underlying properties have been transferred to other entities. So this was an internal investigation. That is dangerous. Transferred to other entities without proper authorization. You don't say. Many of these property, if banks aren't listening to what the regulators are saying, right? And then the regulators themselves had to take to court. They didn't think at that point to look into it deeper to see if any banks were doing something else or something worse. My word. That's another thing. Let me segue into Bitcoin. I'll end off with this piece here, okay? There's so much more we could talk about with this. It's unbelievable. But look into this for yourself. Look it up for yourself, okay? So you can see with your own two eyes. I think that's the best for people to see it for themselves. Traceability. Traceability goes hand in hand with accountability. They want to know where that money is going. They're going to utilize smart contracts to make sure this doesn't happen. Everything's automatic. Everything's programmed. And they can see what happened, who did what, when, where. And if anything goes awry, it's reported. And AI is going to back that up. Do you see why the new financial system in Ripple and Hedera and Chainlink, Solana, you sprinkling in other bank coin companies, Stellar, Algorand, etc., are going to dominate. They're positioned to dominate. What they do is up to them. I don't control nor know anyone at those companies. I want to clarify that. So it's up to them what they do. They have to do good business, but it looks like Ripple's doing great business. But can one see why they're positioned brilliantly? Because I can. All they have to do is execute. Do a good job. Now, let's segue here into a little bit of Bitcoin, and then I have to get the members only video done, which I'm hoping to do a great job at that, because there's some powerful information we need to go over. I'll see you over there. Have you been seeing the postings? Have you been reading those documents? Because it's telling a story. That's why I post them. They've been potent lately. See you over there later. So now, in the members only section, they I don't know what, YouTube sent out a thing now saying that even Apple phone users can get in the members only section now. And I scratched my head and said, wait, they weren't able to get into members only section before? Folks, I am not an expert on YouTube. I merely post videos. That's it. All right. I don't know what they do with the capabilities and all this stuff, but that's what they said. So maybe I'll see more people over there than normal. I don't know. I hope so. Either way, I'm going to put some potent information over there. But look at those documents and members only video coming for you. Regular one. At times you'll see where I'll do an early release. That's just a normal video, but the members get to view it maybe an hour or 2 or 3 before everybody else. That's what that is. So that's a little different than a regular members only video that's exclusively just for the members only section. But I know most of you know that, but maybe some people don't. We have a lot of new people here. Okay. All right. Now, Bitcoin news. This article is titled Bitcoin Closes $107,000 CME Gap as focus shifts to Friday's key CPI print. All right. I'm not worried about Bitcoin whatsoever. I see the catalyst remain strong, continue to become stronger. And thus, it should continue at some point on an upward trajectory. Is okay for there to be a little bit of a breather, sell off, liquidations, manipulation. That's natural. All right. This article begins here. Data from Cointelegraph Markets Pro and TradingView tracked volatile BTC price action after a trip to $106,100 earlier in the day. Attempts to crack resistance higher up ended up in failure. with market commentators warning of a retest of $100,000 or even lower levels to come. Wouldn't surprise me. Wouldn't surprise me, and it wouldn't shake me at all whatsoever. I'm 100% solidly behind Bitcoin. I see where it's heading in the long term. Short term, we always expected volatility, manipulation, etc. All right, so now a resurgence in U.S. dollar strength added to Bitcoin bulls problem, with the U.S. dollar index nonetheless easing off at the time of writing. Gold, meanwhile, threatened to lose $4,000 as support. Not worried about gold at all. I sleep like a baby thinking about gold. If you're thinking about gold when you sleep, Mick, it's just it's just a phrasing. It's just a expression. That's all. Take it literally. You sleep thinking about gold. No, not really. No. All right. Threatened to lose $4,000 as support, continuing its swift come down from all-time highs. It's going to go higher. Look at the chaos. Bank problems all over the globe. Financial system problems all over the globe. There's another problem. Once again, I'm going to talk about that in the members only video. It's interesting how all of this is coming together at the same time. Geopolitical problems, gold is going to do well. It's in my humble opinion, not financial advice. All right. I only speak for myself. Quote, again, the only reason we pumped was due to gold dumping. All right. To each his own. Unquote. So this is referring to local highs above $114,000. I'm just flabbergasted. All right. Data from monitoring resource CoinGlass showed bid liquidity strengthening below $107,000, with price attacking new asks. It will pump. Somebody out there's like, no, Mick, you tell us what your thoughts were on that. It would pump because people still believed that the companies, they believe and know the companies are still behind Bitcoin. All the catalysts remain strong. And thus they would jump back in maybe prematurely before the companies are ready to run it up again because of that knowledge. That's a pretty solid reasoning. Only to realize, okay, the companies are not ready to run it up again just yet. Let's retreat a little bit. That's it. It's like when you're in a race and somebody shoots off the little thing, boom. And before they do that, somebody jumps a little bit early. You got to reset. That's all. That's how I look at that. I mean, there is no one perspective that is absolute. I'm not an absolutist, so to each his own. It says here, quote, this is a key area before retesting the Friday lows and wick, not much lower than that, unquote. All right. CPI to shine light on murky U.S. inflation risk assets remain broadly under pressure ahead of the first major U.S. macroeconomic data print since the government shutdown began. The Consumer Price Index CPI released for September due Friday forms the Federal Reserve's only point of reference for future interest rate adjustments. Quote, all other releases will remain frozen until shutdown ends. That makes CPI the singular anchor for next week's policy rhetoric and market reaction. That'll be interesting to see what occurs, what's said. This is trading company QCP Capital said in its latest, quote, Asia color, unquote, market update. All right. So in my humble opinion, Bitcoin and crypto remain bullish long term. Yes, turbulence, bullish long term. It's my humble opinion. The catalysts are too strong. The positive catalysts and the negative catalysts are not strong enough. Not strong enough, in my humble opinion. But we will see. I could be wrong. I'm not an absolutist. I'm not a know-it-all whatsoever. I could be wrong, but I don't believe I am. So now that you have that information, what are you going to do with it? I know what I'm going to do with it. So until next time, everybody, let's get to the money.